The author chosen for this assignment is Henry David Thoreau. It's by Abraham Ramirez. Henry David Thoreau was born on July 12, 1817, in the town of Concord, Massachusetts, and he graduated from Harvard University in 1837. After his graduation, he dabbled in various jobs before settling into his true calling, which is writing. He started with a journal that served as a foundation to some of his most famous works, one of them being Resistance to Civil Government, or sometimes referred to as Civil Disobedience. This work influenced historical figures such as Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His most famous book, Walden, he wrote while living on the land owned by his friend Ralph Waldo Emerson, next to the Walden Pond. While Thoreau was alive, he wrote several essays and gave lectures against slavery, war, and imperialism. For example, he protested the war with Mexico by refusing to pay his poll tax, resulting in him spending a night in jail. Um, when Thoreau wrote the Book of Walden, he experimented with living off the land and learning from nature for a deeper spiritual-like meaning. He was looking for existential answers and wanted to share his journey through his writing with the world. He was an inquisitive contrarian by nature, and he used nature itself as a source of enlightenment. The most impressive text for me personally is, quote, "If you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be," end quote. And the reason that means so much is because when you look into, again, how civil disobedience influenced men like Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., these men did not see the full extent of the fruits of their labor while they were alive. But they built castles in the air, and they knew they were building castles in the air, and that is what encouraged them to continue on living in the mission that they were set on this earth to fulfill. If he were alive, one image that would represent that would represent Thoreau is the Gadsden flag, the yellow flag with the rattlesnake and the text, "Don't tread on me." Um, he would be considered a minimalist, conservationist, and libertarian. Although not limited to the full extent of those ideologies, he would be considered somewhat of each one of those. And if he were a famous YouTube or TikTok influencer, his videos would constantly be flagged. A movie depiction to encompass his message would be something of aliens creating a documentary of people on Earth observing it. And they would have to be fourth dimensional because they would need to be invisible, similar to how people make documentaries of insects and insects don't recognize them there. But some of the things that they would talk about humans is, they would touch on our charity and our welfare taking care of our welfare for one another, but they would also write about war and resources, how we use our resources, because to a fourth dimensional creature, the idea of using money, numbers on a piece of paper or numbers on a screen as the same value as a shelter or food on a plate seems bizarre. So that's the same message that Thoreau wanted to let people know, was just that there's more to live for than just working every single day. If I could give a letter to Thoreau, it would be a letter of encouragement, to continue with the resistance and self-exploration, and to continue documenting it, because although some people want to take that pursuit of self-enlightenment, they can't just live in the woods. And being able to read his works would be a great way in that journey. An impressive way of perspective of Thoreau was that he included people in the nature that he observed, and did not just see nature as only animals and trees and whatnot, but he included the gossip of the folks in the town of Concord as well.